Hello, I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Well, a local community event is preparing to celebrate 20 years of success. We're talking today about the Carl Junction Bluegrass Festival. Joining me is Gary Stubblefield from the Chamber in Carl Junction. Thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. 20 years. It seems like, just yesterday it was starting off as an idea.
It does, and it did. It started off, it was an idea of the late Jim Wisdom. He was the mayor of Carl Junction, and he thought, wouldn't it be nice? There's this beautiful park, Center Creek Park.
Right.
He said, a lot of people, it's kind of a hidden gem is what he referred to it as. He said, wouldn't it be nice if we had something down there so people could discover this beautiful park, and let's make sure, whatever we do, make sure it's family oriented, kid friendly. And he had a neighbor that played the banjo, and so it became bluegrass.
And so ever since there, now this is the 20th year.
20th year.
20th time. And September 22nd and 23rd, the weekend coming up?
Two-day event this year.
Right.
It is the 22nd and 23rd.
So it's grown a lot over the years.
It has. It has.
So I guess that was one of the questions people might wonder, well, why bluegrass? How did Carl Junction settle on that as far as the theme of this program?
Well, I think because, well, first of all, bluegrass is the oldest form of music that is something that our country can claim fame
American,
to.
U.S., made in the USA.
As American as apple pie. And so I think that was natural. And again, Jim Wisdom had a neighbor that played bluegrass. And so bluegrass is one of those forms of music that it never goes away. And it's cyclical. Every few years it comes back. And what we're seeing now in the national scene is a lot of up-and-coming bands that are younger that are embracing the oldest form of music that we have, bluegrass.
So people that have never heard it before have a chance to hear it. And the old timers, and we would call them, maybe have lived all their life listening to it. Enjoy
Absolutely.
Tying that together. And you're receiving some special recognition this year from the state, since it is the 20th year.
We are. The governor has issued a proclamation, and this is thanks to a lot of behind-the-scenes work from Senator Ron Richard, obviously. But they're recognizing this festival not just for its impact on tourism for Southwest Missouri, but also the economic impact that it has. We'll bring 15 to 20,000 people through our park on the 20th annual festival, and so that has a huge impact financially.
And the first year, you probably had a much smaller crowd. It's grown. I mean, you're talking about a couple hundred people.
Yeah, exactly. So it's grown. But the reason it's grown is it's never strayed from its original intent to bring families together, have a free admission so that they can afford to spend a day together, and to keep it very focused on family, very focused on kids.
And September seems like a good month for outdoor activities like that as well.
It's perfect because we're going into fall. Right. The first day of fall, I believe this year, is the 22nd, and so we're hitting
fall
it right.
Festival right off the spot.
Absolutely. And again, this park is beautiful. There's this great canopy of trees, and so when you're down there, the breeze comes through and you can smell all the good foods that are cooking, like funnel cakes and corn dogs and healthy things. And you hear that music, and it's a perfect setting, perfect time of year.
Well, I know you have some video, and we'll talk for a little bit here and let people see, kind of visualize what we're talking about. And this is video from last year, the 2016.
From last year, and our music coordinator, Chuck Doyle, shot a lot of this. And every year, we have 8 bands on Saturday. Well, this year we're having 9. We're having a headline band, and that's a big deal. And then we've pushed it out to a 2-day event. And then the night before, we've got our Friday family fun night, and that'll have 3 bands.
So we can see some of the video up here from last year, and you have a good-sized stage there for the presentation.
It's a very nice pavilion, and of course it gets decorated up. Frederickson's, which is the pumpkin patch in Carl Junction, they bring in all the pumpkins and the mums. Of course, we sell mums there too, and so it's just got a great fall theme. You can see the Asbel banner. The hardest part of putting on a festival is there's a lot of fixed costs, and they seem to go up every year. But the Asbel Company is our presenting sponsor, and they step in financially so that we can continue to allow families to come and get in for free.
So really the community event to attend, but community events supporting it as well.
Exactly. The Asbel companies are they're very strong in our community, and they believe very much in sharing their success back to their community.
Now, as we continue to look at the video, we can see a variety of band sizes, the band types, a lot of common themes on the instruments, but a lot of different type of approaches, I imagine, what people as they present their music.
Well, and some of them have fun with it, and you may hear a bluegrass version of Gilligan's Island. You know, they get up there, they have fun, they tell jokes that are horrible, just the corniest jokes you've ever heard, but everyone has a good time with it. You're going to see all ages performing. This year we're really tickled because a group by the name of That Dalton Gang, which is kids all definitely under the age of 18, but that's a name you want to remember because they're up and coming, and they're performing quite a few places, and so we're very fortunate to have them playing, and that's another example where here is a very young group of performers embracing our country's oldest form of music.
People might wonder, where do you find the bands? Are they local? Are they national? How do they find out about this and come to
Well, I mean, the festival has a reputation of its own, and so the hardest part, and unfortunately I don't have to deal with this.
You have a music director,
I've got someone else that has the hard work, and that's Chuck Doyle. He's inundated. I mean, we're still getting requests at this time that we're taping this show with people wanting to play. Well, there's just not enough time.
Right.
And so we try to, there's a few bands we try and bring back every year because otherwise we might have a problem.
They have a faithful following.
Like Kentucky 31, you know. But we try to rotate through. So this year, you know, we always want to have the Workmans there, and we haven't been able to. Well, this year we do. And of course, the big news this year is we have a headline band. And that took quite a bit of doing. It took a lot of support from the Joplin Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Titanic Museum, which is down in Branson, stepping forward so we could bring in a band by the name of Missouri Boat Ride. So just to give you an idea of the significance of this, Missouri Boat Ride is in their final year of touring. Missouri Boat Ride has a member of their band, and his name is Dean Webb. He traces his roots back to the Dillard family, one of the old-time, most recognizable bluegrass bands. Now, if you remember the Andy Griffith Show that was on 60 years ago, there was a band that came on by the name of the Darlings, the Darling family, which was really the Dillards. Dean was in that group, and so it's perfect because, you know, there was a show even when it first came out that people really bought into because it was all about family, it was all about kids, it was safe, it was fun, and it's still in syndication a popular show. Well, what a perfect fit for our festival. And so to have something that harkens back to its musical roots going all the way back to the Andy Griffith Show, we're really excited about that.
And so this is made possible through some additional funding then.
Some additional, yes, it took us a whole lot more help, and the Joplin CVB and the Titanic Museum came to our aid on that.
Right, so we talk about community support, we have regional support really, because it's the Joplin CVB helping Carl Junction's festival.
Absolutely, and you'll see people from the Titanic Museum at the festival because they're an hour and a half away, and what do they offer? Family-oriented, kid-friendly entertainment, and so that's where the regionalism comes into play, and obviously why the governor has recognized this.
Now, you mentioned the regionalism. Do you have people, the two-day event this year, who are coming in, spending nights in Joplin or the area hotels in the region so they can get up the next morning and come listen to the music? Absolutely.
You know, this is a great day trip, but you know, we find that people are coming from a little bit further distance, and so they need a place to stay. Obviously, we partner with all the local Joplin hotels because of our partnership with the Joplin CVB, and many of them are offering discounts. And so that, you know, if you're going to stay, you know, they're going to make it affordable for you.
And they've probably helped you a lot with the promotions as well, getting the word out.
The Joplin Convention and Visitors Bureau, there's no one better at promoting our local events.
I know years ago there'd be a little sign on the street corner that would say, you know, this way to the Bluegrass Festival.
And that's how it kind of started out. And now, of course, we incorporate quite a bit more. We use social media, and we use all the conventional advertising.
Now, people who want to attend, you mentioned some of the groups and the names. If they have a favorite group they want to follow, you have a way for them to get a schedule to find out what's happening.
Oh, absolutely.
On the music side.
So our website, Carl Junction CC, and CC stands for Chamber of Commerce. CarlJunctionCC.com is where you can find out everything that has that's going on with this festival, including Friday Family Fun Night and what bands are playing. There it is. And of course, there's so many things that are going on this day. We have people that obviously come for the music, and they may stay all day. day, and we encourage you, bring a lawn chair, bring a blanket, and spend the day. Some people come just for the food, you know, and you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. Shopping, this is probably the best day of the year for shopping because it's arts and craft vendors. We're going to have about 70,
wow.
Biggest crowd ever. And this, you know, that's unique items. We have people that come just for the kids' activities like bounce house and face painting. And then, of course, our car and bike show, which this will be our biggest year also for that. Last year we had 84 entries, and we expect even more this year.
So people can register for those car shows in advance. And
everything through carljunctioncc.com.
So and then, of course, coming just to watch. If you don't have a car, I know a lot of people show up just to watch and see, you know, those other cars.
It's a lot of nice cars.
Yeah.
and motorcycles as well.
A lot of history there in those cars and what you're having to see. So you keep mentioning family event. There's performances throughout the day, but if you have little children, sometimes they don't sit still, listen to the music. There's things they can do off to the side. You can take them and they can have fun activities for the children.
Absolutely. So while you're checking out the car show or you're doing your shopping, we want to make sure that the kids have got things to do. You know, and we've got face painters and bounce house, the things that you would expect.
Right.
But also we have some really cool things like Spiva, Center for the Arts, as a creation station. So this is a chance for kids to create art, no charge, of course. So they can actually create something there at the festival. But I'll tell you, probably hands down, the most popular perennial favorite is the petting zoo. And the Carl Junction FFA brings that out. And of course, we never know until that day what animals we're getting. It's getting close to festival. If it's too hot, they have to kind of
change their choices, right?
But it's a huge hit. Yeah.
So bring the kids. There's lots for them to do and get involved with that. And the food aspect. You kind of touched on that lightly, but a lot of food vendors.
I would like to spend the next half hour talking about the
different
food,
choices
if we could, Judy.
Yeah.
So, you know, starting off in the morning, you've got biscuits and gravy. There's pie. And the pie shack is always there. That's the Leo Club, which is a junior version of the Lions Club. Pie by the slice, pies, entire
dessert
pie,
for your family. You can buy a whole
pies,
pie, right?
Yeah. So you're going to have corn dogs. The Lions Club makes hand-dipped corn dogs and fresh squeezed lemonades, and that's always a hit. And then we've tried to expand the ethnic offering, so that we've got you know, a ghetto taco will be there, for instance, and you know, there's so much good food, and we have one person that will be there this year, and this is new, that is just focusing on gourmet grilled cheese sandwiches. So, I mean, how can you go wrong?
There's a lot of taste testing possibilities in family. If someone doesn't like something else, you turn it around and there's something else that children can eat. You know?
And then obviously funnel cakes, kettle corn, all the good stuff.
Festivals like to have those kind of foods
Absolutely.
and tying that together. Now the arts and crafts, when we think of arts and crafts, we think of everything from homemade small items to, you know, to describe what people can find when you say arts and crafts.
Well, anything that you could use in your home or your office.
Right.
So let's just kind of run down the list. You know, items made from wood turnings, items made from glass, pottery, clothing that is custom made, a lot of children's clothing. When you get into the decor, you've got your interior decor. You have things for outdoor in your patio and your garden. Some of that is you know, decorative. Some of that is holiday themes. So you're going to see some fall decor. You're going to see some Halloween decor. You know, and as far as the items in the patio, you're going to see bird baths, wind chimes, bird houses. And thinking of birds, then we get into some of the pet foods that are usually available, which are, you know, custom treats for dogs and cats and birds.
Now, if somebody goes there and buys something, they say, oh, I got to carry this back to my car. I know in the past you've had assistance even with the packaging.
We've thought that through. You know, State Representative Charlie Davis is our transportation sponsor this year. So he's making, there's going to be a fleet of golf carts. So when you get there, we'll get you from your car into the festival. When it's time to go, we'll get you back. So with your purchases, you know, the vendors will hold those for you. And remember, like I mentioned, we sell mums, and we sell a lot of mums.
So the big potted mums.
Well, they're from Frederickson, so they're this big around. So when you're ready to go, you just
signal one of the carts.
Signal one of those golf carts, or as many golf carts as you need, and we'll get all those purchases to your car.
Right. And now this is a come and go event throughout the day.
It is, and so we'll see some people that may come in to see a specific band or just to eat a specific meal,
right.
and then they'll go about the rest of their day. Then they'll come back. They may come through that gate 2 or 3 times. So the fact that there's no admission, that's kind of nice.
They're free to come and go. Now the times, we haven't really given the time. So on a Saturday, what time do they actually? I guess we don't say kick off, but start the music. Yeah.
Well, from 9 to 6, but you can get in there at 8 if you want to grab some breakfast and position your lawn chair. Absolutely. Now the night before, on Friday Family Fun Night, and of course all this is on carljunctioncc.com. That's from 6 to 9. That's at Stark Auditorium, which that's an indoor event, and that's over by our schools at 206 South Broadway. So 6 to 9 on Friday, 9, and then 9 to 6 on Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the Friday night event's a new approach this year, new feature?
Brand new. The park is a great venue. The only stumbling blocks, I guess, would be the terrain for some people, and of course that weather element.
Right.
You never
Sitting
know.
outside, if it's going to be hot or is it going to be cold, is it going to be rainy, is it going to be dry? Right.
So Friday night is all about sitting in an auditorium, nice and dry, and that may work better for some people's schedules. We fully expect that bluegrass fans will probably be there for both, but that's something new, and we're really excited about it.
Now, will you have some bands that play Friday night as well as Saturdays? They're totally different.
Special bands just for Friday night,
okay.
And that goes back to we get more requests of people wanting to pay or play
the music.
than we have time. And so this was an opportunity to bring in 3 more bands. Of course, we added a headline band on Saturday, so now we're up to 12 bands.
So there's a big
50% increase.
a lot of people on the stage. And of course, you're dealing with, I say, more of an informal stage. They can change their positions pretty quickly, take their instruments on and off.
The set changes under 15 minutes.
Tying that. Now, you mentioned going to your cars. Let's explain for the audience how people park, the park itself. Someone's watching, well, how do I get there? I've heard there's road construction in the Carl Junction area. So the how to get there type aspect.
Okay, so let's just start off with all roads lead to Carl Junction, always. But we have been hindered and hampered by the fact that the bridge has been out on 171.
Right.
We don't believe at this point that it will be done in time for the festival, but on our website and all our printed materials, we've put the physical street addresses so that you can put it into your GPS. There's lots and lots of ways into Carl Junction, but when it comes to this festival, and we've always said this even when we had a bridge, just follow the cars, because it will be a constant line of
people will
traffic.
know they're all going there.
You'll kind of know you're following the cool kids. And so as you go in, we have great support from Carl Junction Police Department, our Public Works Department, and the Missouri Mounted Guard, as well as nearly 200 volunteers on the ground that day. And so we'll get you in. We have lots of parking available. We also have some VIP parking that's even closer if you opt for that. And then, of course, the continuous shuttle of golf carts scurrying around all day will get you where you want to be.
So you'll have a large designated parking area, and then the event, then they can get back and forth between the two quite easily.
Yeah,
and working
absolutely.
Tying that together.
And it's amazing when you think about the fact that you're putting 15,000+ people through the park in a few hours' time. You would think that it would be a problem, but it never has been. It flows really well. Right. And I was at our city council last night, and we talked about barricading certain roads on one side, just to
help the traffic flow.
We're looking at the traffic, yeah. And so everyone is on board, and that also includes our fire department, police department. It works really well.
15,000 people is a large number of crowd coming to Carl Junction.
It is, and it's just amazing how smooth it goes. Yeah, but we've got a lot of great volunteers.
Good. Well, the volunteer aspect, I'm curious about that. People who are doing different jobs, whether it's, I guess, helping people park, directing them, coordinating setup and so forth. That sounds like it's a year-round event, trying to get people.
Well, the entire festival actually is year-round, because we book the bands in January. We book the food vendors in February, because they need to know where they're going to be.
Schedule.
The craft vendors trickle in, and then they really come in heavy in September. And so we'll be booking those up until the point we have no more space. And, as we tape this show now, we're already halfway there.
So
and September just
started,
so,
right?
Yeah, so I would, it will fill up quickly. But it is a planning process that goes year round, and probably the most interesting part is getting the volunteers coordinated. Right. Because we want to make sure that a lot of people want to volunteer, and we have to be conscious of what they can do, what they're comfortable with. And so we have lots of positions that are seated, whether that's driving a golf cart or my mom is going to be selling mums.
So she can
sit there, hold court, and sell mums like nobody's business. We take into account. And then we also, we're very grateful. And so we ask for people to volunteer 2 hours or 4 hours. And if you volunteer 2 hours, we're going to give you a funnel cake. If you stay for 4 hours, we'll get you a free lunch because we're very, very grateful.
So do you have a volunteer coordinator who helps keep track
We
of all
do.
that as
Her
well?
name is Michael Warren. She's speaking to me right now. As it gets closer, she probably won't be. She probably, Chuck's got a hard time telling people no on the bands, but Michael's got the hardest work of everyone, coordinating 200 volunteers.
Right, and covering that time period that you have all throughout the day, coming and going.
And she has taken on that challenge this year, and she's doing a great job.
So if somebody who's watching and they want to help out, or you have to call or still say, is there anything I can do that day?
You can call the chamber, and we'll get you, because we'd love to give out a few more funnel cakes.
Now, you mentioned having the Friday night over by the schools. Do you have a lot of cooperation or working with the schools in Carl Junction on this event? Or
well,
getting their
we
kids
have
involved?
great cooperation with our schools year-round. They're our best ally. We partner with them year-round on multiple things. And, this is we're a small community, 7,500. So think about the fact that the festival brings in twice that.
Right.
Everyone helps. The schools helps, the police department helps, our city definitely helps us out with everything we ask for. And then the residents come out of the woodwork because this is their festival, and they not only attend it, they like to take part in it, volunteering.
So it's really a point of
It takes a
pride for the
village.
city, right? A point of pride tying everything together. So you look at people, some of the key, you've mentioned some key supporters, people really working, and people have been involved, some of them since the beginning, I imagine, or many years, maybe not since the first year, but you've had a lot of longtime supporters as well.
Well, we do, and I was on the phone today with Pat Smith, who's one of the longtime organizers, who has finally taken the opportunity to step back after doing it for many years.
Watch the program.
She was the original ones, and what we're going to do this year to tie into the fact that it's the 20th year is we're going to honor those people, the people that were there when Jim Wisdom started this, and so we're going to be bringing in people like Pat and Randy Corbin, the people that ran this festival for the first 16 years. This is only the 4th year that the Chamber's had it.
Right.
And finally, they were kind of wore out. And so, but we're bringing them back and we're recognizing them at the festival, for what they did and what they started with and what it's grown to.
Do you think any of them suspected it would have grown this big when they were dreaming it at the
I
beginning?
don't think so. I think that's why they got wore out.
Yeah, that's a big project.
But it's their fault. They're the ones that built it up,
But the chamber having the lead role now, that has made a big difference for you to have your chamber membership people involved. And your staff, I know, is not huge, so you have
No, it's not, but they're very loyal, very dedicated. Where we were able to make a contribution as far as the chamber to the festival is it takes so many people financially to do this. And so we were able to go to our members like the Asbels and say, can you help? Because free festivals aren't free as far as putting them on.
Look at
and then the bands, the bands get paid even if it rains out. And so that's obviously one of our biggest expenses is the music. So then we reached out to our members. And so when you go on our website, carljunctioncc.com, you're going to see that every band has a sponsor. Right. And so that helps us know that even if let's hope this doesn't happen, even if it rains, the band cost is covered. Charlie Davis stepping in to make sure that the golf cart expense is covered. That's probably our best contribution that we could add as a chamber was we could bring in good financial supporters.
And then support from the outside, as you mentioned earlier, Branson, the Joplin CVB helping you throughout the region.
We've always had the support of the community, whether it be volunteers or just what we need. But when it came time to really start looking at how this was growing and what it was beginning to cost, that was when the chamber really was able to make its contribution.
Right. And as you mentioned, I have a printout here I'm looking at for the audience that the people who are sponsoring, you can see on your website. You know, there's a lot of people who say thank you. We're not going to go through the list and not miss anyone. But
I don't think your show is long enough to thank all the people that we need to thank.
Right.
And of course, we thank everyone that comes too.
Question to someone surrounding communities or even someone out of state, you know, looks at what you're doing and so how can you make this happen? Any tips you would give to other communities? A lot of communities have festivals, events, or maybe they're dreaming of doing that type of thing. You know, what tips would you share with another community?
Well, now festivals are, well, all events have a life cycle, and so sometimes you see great events that just kind of go away, and usually it's because of one of three reasons. One, lack of interest, maybe whatever it used to be that was...
Times have changed.
Times have changed. Or lack of volunteers. You know, as you need more and more volunteers, you burn through them. And then financial. And financial also means just thinking about liability. And so those are the things that will kill any festival or any event. But I think that the advice would be, you know, keep it simple. Always keep it clean and safe, and if you can always appeal to family and kids, I think that you're always going to have a hit. And then you just, you know, and then that's not only something that attracts people, it also attracts supporters. And so that's where our success has been, is we've stayed true to what Jim Wisdom wanted 20 years ago.
Family event that's free of charge, that has music and entertainment and a lot of things tied together. For people who tuned in late, let's remind them of the dates and the times.
So the 20th annual Carl Junction Bluegrass Festival in the park will be September 23rd. That's Center Creek Park, 201 Valley Lane. But then we've added something new this year, which will be Friday, September 22nd. That's Friday Family Fun Night. That's 3 hours, 3 bands at Stark Auditorium, which is at 206 South Broadway in Carl Junction. And all those bands and those addresses and all the details is on our website, carljunctioncc.com.
Right. And you also have a Facebook site.
We do have a Facebook page.
I haven't mentioned, but a lot of people doing social media now.
So you can find us on Facebook as well.
So you get information and any updates you can post up there as well. Get that information out there. Great. Well, Gary, I'd like to thank you very much for visiting today, providing a look and some information for our audience.
Thank you, Judy.
You're welcome. And I'd like to thank you, the viewers, for joining us this week on Newsmakers. I'm Judy Stiles. I hope you can join me again next week at the same time on the station. We'll see you then.